As I absorbed this absolute love and peace, I noticed other small stars, similar to me, comparatively insignificant before the immensity of the Creator, who resembled a gigantic supernova, a stellar emanation from a white vortex. Words fail to adequately describe the grandeur of the scene, but each small light approached, merging and becoming one with the Creator. Hello, welcome to another video on our channel. Here we translate testimonials from people who have had near-death experiences and other spiritual experiences. Today we will learn about the story of Denali Veda. She recounts that she died and saw something shocking about the future of the planet. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now. Activate the notification bell to receive alerts whenever a new video is published. Now, let's hear Denali's testimony. Call me Denali Veda, and it is with great pleasure and honor that I present myself here to share with you my journey. I am a quantum healer, a mother, and lover, and like many of you, I have gone through spiritual experiences that have profoundly transformed my existence. My experiences include near-death episodes and astral projections, during which I visited heaven, encountered creation, and understood my mission. However, I will begin by narrating my near-death experience that occurred during a globally significant period, right after COVID during a worldwide lockdown. Something unprecedented for all of us. During this time, we were all forced to pause. And my family, like me, certainly felt the tension. When the restrictions were lifted, the weather was pleasant, and we decided to go out eagerly for any kind of trip. My husband and my son, mountain biking enthusiasts, chose a state park that was 3 to 4 hours away. We booked an Airbnb, and the photos of the place looked inviting. Although it's hard to capture the energy of a place just from images, but upon arrival, I immediately felt an aversion to the place. Yes, it was somewhat outdated, an isolated cabin in the forest, more rustic than I would have preferred, with an infestation of insects that I did not like. I mentioned this to my husband who, although upset, said it was okay. Being a sensitive person, I felt a negative energy in the house which seemed not to bother him as much as it did me. We agreed to try to enjoy the vacation despite this. However, a disagreement arose during the day because of something my husband did. In retrospect, it was nothing serious, and I shouldn't have been so upset, but it affected me deeply. I went to bed that night quite irritated, refusing even to give him a good-night kiss, as I felt he didn't deserve it. With the negativity of the house seeming to amplify my own feelings, I held a grudge and had difficulty sleeping that night. Being a sensitive person, I often face problems falling asleep, and usually meditate. But eventually, I fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up feeling pain in the bikini area and realized I had been bitten during the night. Something that had never happened to me before. I mentioned it to my husband, suggesting it might have been a spider. The bite was large, and at that moment, we didn't know exactly what it was. He tried to downplay the incident, reminding me that he had been bitten by spiders before. I tried to maintain a positive attitude, as we were on vacation, and I didn't want to waste time visiting a doctor. The situation didn't seem so serious initially, so we decided to continue enjoying our time. When we returned, I ended up procrastinating seeking treatment, although I was uncomfortable. Eventually, I Googled treatments for spider bites and discovered that local doctors were not well prepared for this, as it's not common here. And the only solution usually offered is antibiotics. Shortly after returning home, I started using natural antibiotics, as I am a holistic healer and avoid pharmaceutical medications whenever possible. I opted for herbs and detoxifying supplements, including activated charcoal, which is known for its ability to extract toxins, like poisons. I believe these natural alternatives played a crucial role in my recovery. However, the symptoms persisted for a few days, becoming increasingly intense. Around the 6th or 7th day, I began to feel symptoms similar to a severe flu, exhaustion, fatigue, and a general feeling of weakness. On that specific day, I was at home, trying to fulfill my daily routines as a mother and business owner, In addition to taking care of the house, I usually have a busy schedule. But that day, I felt I couldn't continue. I was so debilitated that I needed to lie down, feeling as if my life energy was being drained. With fever and body aches worse than a common flu, I decided to retreat to the bedroom and try to meditate or rest. I was internally struggling with the situation, fearing what was happening to me. There was the fear that it was too late and that I might be dying. I thought that maybe I should have sought medical assistance earlier. However, a part of me accepted that if this was my fate, I should just pray and meditate. While I was unconscious, I began to experience something extraordinary. I saw orbs of light, which seemed like spheres of energy emanating from me. It seemed that part of my soul was dispersing. Then a review of my life began, starting with beautiful scenes that highlighted moments that reinforced my desire to live, moments with my children, moments that showed the beauty of life. This made me realize that I was not valuing the blessings around me because I was consumed by anger. The visions transformed, showing me how I had become an angry person due to numerous injustices, including the pain caused by a narcissistic and abusive father, whose actions I thought could not be forgiven. This experience made me see how I was still trapped in anger and resentment, even towards my husband, despite the love we shared. This life review illuminated the fact that an anger was poisoning my soul, a poison more destructive than the spider's venom. With this new awareness, I learned to value my life more, and to perceive each moment as a blessing. Even the spider bite turned out to be a gift, as it allowed me to see and awaken to new levels of consciousness. Reflecting on this, I was deeply grateful for being bitten. An experience I later discovered was caused by a brown recluse spider. The severity of the bite required medical attention later, as it began to eat away at my flesh, which was a horrible sight, but fortunately left only a minimal scar in a private area. I shared my experience with an elderly neighbor who lives across the street. While we were talking on the porch, she revealed to me that her father had died from a spider bite when she was a child, 6 or 7 days after being bitten. This coincidence with the timing of my own near-death experience shocked me. Feeling a deep empathy for her, who grew up without a father, I felt even more blessed and protected. This conversation reinforced my belief that I am here for a reason, a mission I was destined to fulfill, a revelation that was confirmed during another out-of-body experience in 2016, also in my home, while resting in my bed. It was the middle of the night, around 3 or 4 in the morning, a time that seemed suspended between night and dawn. I was once again trying to find sleep while listening to meditation music. It was when I asked Alexa, or maybe she started on her own, I don't remember well, to play a song. Unexpectedly, a Tibetan mantra began to echo, a melody I had never experienced before. Until then, my experience with mantras was practically non-existent, limited only to some meditation songs. Initially, I thought about turning off the music, fearing that the intense beauty of the melody would keep me awake. But paradoxically, it began to relax me deeply. It was so enchanting that the more I listened, the more I began to understand Tibetan. The words seemed to say, "Come home," as if they were calling me back to a home I had always sought. Throughout my life, I never truly felt at home. I always saw myself as the black sheep, a pariah, bullied and despised for being who I was and expressing my uniqueness. In that melody, however, I felt a call home. I began to vibrate intensely, a vibration so powerful that it seemed to make my body implode until I became dust. Stardust, the essence of the earth from which we all originate. Without a body and without eyes, I transformed into a pure being of light. Before me, a portal opened above, attracting me like a magnet, sucking me in. I traveled at the speed of light through the universe until I reached the galactic center. There was the Creator, and in this celestial space, another melody resonated, a frequency that sounded like pure compassion, an unconditional and powerful love. the most intense I have ever felt. I only had this feeling in transcendental experiences, and it is almost unimaginable until you feel this love enveloping your entire being, filling every essence. Nothing can surpass this supreme love, the force of the universe and the Creator. As I absorbed this love and absolute peace, I noticed other small stars, similar to me, comparatively insignificant before the immensity of the Creator, who resembled a gigantic supernova, a stellar emanation from a white vortex. Words fail to adequately describe the grandeur of the scene, but each small light approached, merging and becoming one with the Creator. Then I too was called into union with the Creator, truly understanding the concept of unity, often mentioned in Buddhism. I had heard of it, but never knew it was real until I experienced it. I feel immensely blessed to have this experience and finally, to have found my true home, to be welcomed back to it. I never believed I was worthy of such love. My parents failed to show love during my childhood, and I faced many difficulties for not fitting in, always seeking this pure love in this world. Something so hard to find, because many humans are unaware of their true essence and forget where they came from. In this union, in this feeling of belonging, all my pain disappeared, including the chronic pain of Lyme disease, and it was truly wonderful to experience such relief. In these sacred spaces I received a revelation about my mission, which is to share this experience and teach that love is the essence of the Creator, and that we are all made of this same substance. We are a small spark, a fragment of the Creator, here on earth to live as humans for a while, wrapped in illusions and a veil that makes us forget the love from where we came. Before we continue, just one request. Please subscribe to our channel. It really helps us keep going. Before continuing, just one request. Subscribe to the channel. This helps us a lot to continue. I'm not more special than anyone else. In fact, I want to emphasize that we are all special and important. It is crucial to understand that before this experience, I did not feel completely loved, and now I carry this deep love with me, this vibration and energy that I use to love even more. When I feel undervalued or unloved by this world, remind me that this does not reflect reality. The only truth is the love of the Creator, and we all need to remember that. Love is the answer to everything, and we need to love not only ourselves and our enemies, but all parts of ourselves, even those we are ashamed of or reject. It is not necessary to be perfect to be worthy of love. This is a big misconception that many religious or non-religious people carry. God does not belong to any religion. Religions are human creations that often take us away from genuine love and forgiveness. I learned that anything that diverts us from the path of love does not come from the true God, or what we call by so many names. What really matters is the love we are and the love we express. This is the highest form of worshiping the Creator. To love at the level we are loved, reflecting that love in the world. Since then, I have tried to be a master of love, still learning to love myself, on a lifelong journey. The more we learn to forgive others and ourselves, the more we learn to truly love ourselves. Many people love for misguided reasons and do not understand why they are worthy of love. We do not need to accomplish great feats to be worthy. We are worthy simply by existing, for the Creator does not make mistakes. Our mere existence is our greatest value, and we can be redeemed regardless of what we have done. This is the beautiful truth I learned, and now we no longer have death. For a long time, I struggled with the debilitating Lyme disease, which brought me close to death several times. What I learned in my healing and awakening journey transformed me into a healer, someone who aspires to be a better version of themselves, although still on the path. This is a journey for all of us, and what I try to teach people. The Creator wants us all to reach our highest potential, to reach for the stars and believe in our dreams. I have rediscovered my passions like dancing and singing almost every day in my home as an expression of gratitude for life. This helps me not to take anything for granted, especially in a world where there are so many negativities and personal and collective challenges. We cannot control the external world, but we can find peace, love, and happiness within ourselves. This is the way to achieve heaven on earth and to connect more deeply with the Creator. We are never alone and are deeply loved. This world is just a dream, a temporary illusion, and I have learned not to cling too much to anything material, although I appreciate and love everything in the universe. As a humble messenger, I hope to awaken in you hope and inspiration and show that things can and will get better. Hold on to love, for we are truly immortal and death is not real. Our souls are part of this infinite energy that is the Creator. So in the face of so much fear spread, remember that there is nothing to fear. Fear is a tool of control used by many, including governments and some religions. But knowing who we are, parts of the Creator, we can free ourselves from this control and live in the true freedom of love. However, I have seen many technological innovations that are to come, especially in the field of health, with advanced healing technologies that will emerge. Furthermore, I foresee a more integral financial system in the future, like a quantum financial system. I believe in the concept of Gesara Nazara, which perhaps some of you know. These propose a fair financial system that is not manipulated and corrupt like the current one. I am quite excited about future healing technologies, but also about a general expansion of our consciousness. It is clear that more and more people are awakening, seeking to understand who we really are, a universal family. We are all brothers and sisters and need to recognize this, remembering that we are essentially a family. According to Buddha, suffering is optional, and I agree with that. I allowed myself to suffer for a long time because I chose so, influenced by negative programs and people who made me feel unwanted, unloved, and hated. I began to believe these lies, which is common when adopting a victim mentality. One of the greatest battles I faced was recognizing that I was not a victim, despite having a family that did not show love, and going through other hardships, like being a single mother at one point. It is not that trials become easier. I believe we strengthen with them. We learn that everything will be fine in the end, and we need to remember that. Attachment is really what causes suffering. So learning not to be attached to a specific outcome, but to be open and hopeful is key. Love is the purpose of our existence. I transformed my pain into purpose, and that purpose is to love. Each of us, like a snowflake, has its unique purpose. As long as we follow our highest passion and remain in the frequency of love, we will begin to manifest miracles and transform our reality to higher frequencies. Another thing I learned on my journey and becoming a healer was that I sought more keys, more tools. I intensified my meditation practice and started using mantras, which was divinely destined to happen. It was no accident that Alexa started playing that Tibetan music. It was a key that opened the door to a portal. What I discovered is that there are many keys. I did not need to die in my other experience to reach heaven, yogis, gurus, and people who have out-of-body or astral travel experiences, who can also visit heaven or celestial states. I have been in 3 different celestial levels, and each heaven is personalized. Even if you have a negative experience, it serves to teach a lesson. Fortunately, my near-death experience was mostly positive and helped me. I try to turn all negative things into something positive, seeking the necessary lesson. I found that God is not as critical as I thought. I grew up in a Christian environment that emphasized judgment, but I was always a seeker, studying other religions in search of answers. Because I got sick, because I had a difficult life, because other people seemed so blessed, I learned that many people never learn to truly love themselves or to love their family and loved ones. Love is the answer, and this may sound cliché, but it is the truth and can transform lives. Currently, I feel reborn, living with an intensity that was unknown to me in the dark days of the past, when I found myself plunged into a deep well of depression. At that time, I felt constantly undervalued, rejected, and unloved. It was as if I was always under the shadow of heavy clouds, unable to see the sun shining just above. Now I long for each person to understand their own importance, and that every human being is truly loved and needed in this world. It is essential that we interrupt the cycle of self-blame for old mistakes, those failures that we all inevitably make along our journey. My relationship with my father has always been complicated. He never knew how to show love openly, and never apologized for his failures and harsh words. For a long time, this was a source of bitterness for me. However, through much introspection and help, I learned the art of forgiveness. Forgiving someone who seems indifferent to the suffering they caused is challenging, but it is also liberating. I learned that forgiveness is really a gift we give to ourselves more than to the offender. It frees us from the burden of old resentments, allowing us to move forward with our lives. When we hold on to anger and the inability to forgive, we create a barrier between us and love. These negative emotions consume us, taking us further and further away from the warm light that love offers. Imagine a world indicated by adopting a simple rule: loving oneself and others. This simple revolutionary act could completely transform our world, introducing a new era marked by compassion and altruism, making love the new universal religion. This change would start in small environments, perhaps within our own homes, gradually extending to our communities. Schools would start teaching children not only academics but also how to love and respect others. Workplaces would become more humanized, where mutual respect is the basis for all interaction. World leaders could promote policies that prioritize the emotional and physical well-being of citizens, instead of focusing solely on economic growth. By turning inward and questioning what we truly value, we can begin to see tangible changes. Each small act of kindness becomes a wave that, as it spreads, transforms the entire ocean. With each person we decide to forgive, we move one step forward in the direction of a more loving and less painful world. Therefore, the journey to a future governed by love begins with a simple step: forgiveness. With each act of forgiveness, we pave the way for a brighter and more loving tomorrow, making love not just an idealistic aspiration, but a tangible reality. The future, the new earth that we will all experience, will be founded on love. It was a pleasure and an honor to share with all of you. If anyone feels called to work with me, it would be a pleasure to collaborate. You can find me on social media like TikTok and YouTube, where I share inspiration and positivity daily. If you want more of this in your lives, follow me there. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I love you all. Love yourself. And keep hope for the future. Be blessed. So what did you think of this incredible story? Leave your opinion in the comments. Consider supporting our work by donating any amount. The Pix key is in the video description. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Activate the notification bell to be notified of each new video. Let's bring hope to more people that there is life beyond what the eyes can see.